That would explain. There we go. Ha ha. All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's see here. Am I coming through nice and well? There we go. There's the audio. Very nice. Very nice. Well, good evening, Hannah. Good evening, ISO. Woohoo! ISO just finished watching the trailer. Oh, yes. Oh, we're going to have a lot to talk about. And there will be lots of little clicks here and there as I'm still kind of scrambling to try to get all of the stuff that we've gotten with how we've gotten with the trailer for the Gaslight District. Not the Gaslight Theater. The Gaslight Theater is an amazing comedy theater group here in Tucson who are amazing. So worth the money to go check out. They are hilarious. But the Gaslight District, woo boy, the Gaslight District looks like it could be the next Gravity Falls. Now, I know that's a lot to say, but I think I can make that. I think I can confidently make that call. Arts is here. Hey, dude. Oh, so you watched that Abomination remake? How was it? Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad. Tolly Tommy says hi. And I will go on a rant. I was questioning whether I should make a whole video about it, but the thing is that I for the take that I would actually give, rather that like people have already had months to rage about how bad the Snow White live action remake was going to be, that I think that a lot of the anger is already out of people's systems, and they're just exhausted with it. They don't want any more, and they're so angry about it that I don't think that people actually want to listen to a take from someone where like, okay, so it was awful. Now what can we learn from it? And they're just like, it was awful. Never do it. Disney sucks. I'm like, yes, but there's always more lessons, better lessons than that we can learn from this experience. TV count, no, you didn't miss anything. You got on right as we got started. Hannah says, hey, have you seen the Pretty Please? I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl. I have not yet, Hannah, but Scott has, and he said it was amazing, and I still need to see it. I've seen a clip, and I thought it was hilarious. Art says, I thought of watching, but I just grabbed pizza instead. Better spent. Yes. It would have been better just to go get some pizza. Go watch anything else. Oh, it was soul draining. Tolly Tommy can't sleep again. I'm sorry to hear that, Tolly Tommy. Hopefully you're able to get some much needed rest. All right. So I'm actually in the I am right now in the process of getting the trailer broken down to its most meatiest moments, so that way we can like really begin just taking this sucker apart and learning what we might be able to expect from the Gaslight District. Oh boy, I'm so excited that there's codes. I know that my brain is not particularly wired to solving riddles and codes. I've done enough code solving, enough code breaking, and enough escape rooms to realize that it's not one of my strengths. However, I really, really enjoy it. All right. So let me then, you know what? As far as just getting us started, let me break down what we're going to do. Let's see here. We are going to talk about the Gaslight District. We're going to talk about Snow White, and our lesson for tonight is not necessarily something that I can like put together a good slideshow for, because it's kind of a vague concept, but it's one that it's something that I relearned this week where I'm like, this is actually a very positive message. So I want to give like a positive writing message to you all. And I want to hear you guys sound off here in the chat. Do you want me to start off talking about the Abomination that was the Snow White remake? Do we want to dive directly right into the Gaslight District and just take off and have some fun? Or do you want to get the writing lesson / writing thought first? Let me know in the chat what you guys want, and we'll then structure this live stream around that. ISO says, one of the only movies where I root for the antagonist. Even the antagonist in this live-action remake left something to be desired. Art says, so if Chris and Susie watched it, how would they rate it? So you would, from Chris, you would get the talking option. You get the selection of ... and like very miserable ... and Susie would be like, what the sack of saggy, smelly balls was that? ISO says, Snow White first, get it over with. Just put us out of our misery. Hannah says, Snow White roasting. Dorcas Daydream says, how recent was the first Gaslight District trailer? Fresh today. Certified fresh. 9 hours ago. Okay, so it looks like we got 2 votes thus far for the roasting of Snow White. TV Count says, I think you should freeze frame it. Maybe there's some stuff hidden there. Oh yes. That's actually a big part of what I'm right now quickly trying to finish up here, because I also need to eat dinner before jumping onto this. Darkest Daydream says, why should I watch the Snow White remake when Mirror Mirror is right there? Yeah, Mirror Mirror. There's so many other amazing Snow White adaptations. You can even watch Sydney White and the Seven Dorks, which is a great movie. It absolutely is. Matterlad is here. Hello. Snow White, or the valiant hero known as Queen. Yeah, there's so many good examples of a Snow White story. You can even go to the Once Upon a Time show. The Once Upon a Time show did actually pretty well with the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So yeah, okay. Iso says, have you heard the Snow White AI chat music? It's hilarious. I think I have. But now that I say that, I can't recall it. Darkest Daydream says, I didn't realize Sydney White had more in the title. Yeah, Sydney White. I mean, most people just refer to it as Sydney White, but it's Sydney White and the Seven Dorks. Which, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's at the very end, I was a little bit upset that it became more of like a high school representation of college, but it's one of the better college comedies, and actually done fairly well with our Snow White character, who is not with Seven Dwarves, but with 7 nerds who want to live the Greek life on campus, but none of them can get into a fraternity. So they've kind of formed their own fraternity of misfits, and they're all ridiculous, and their baseline personalities kind of jive with the Seven Dwarves. Let's see here. Art says, you know what's a better version of Snow White? Deltarune 2. It has Queen and Noelle as Snow White. You know, I will accept that, Art. I will absolutely accept that. Madeline says, tuning in as I'm working on my essay. All right. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're still working on that essay. Good luck. Okay, so let's already just start talking a little bit here about the Snow White remake. And then we'll transition on over to talking about the Gaslight District. Believe you me, we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be way more fun than Snow White. Yep. It's going to be way more fun than talking about Disney's horribly done Snow White live action remake. So here is something that already I know that most people will not probably bring up, just because they're just so angry that this has happened. If this remake had been made by any other studio and made 20 to 30 years ago, no one would have anything bad to say about it. Now, I know that's already going to sound like, wait, what? But it is the case, because it really does feel like a very different movie. Not like a Snow White kind of a film. And that would kind of be okay. Like I went and I watched it with my oldest sister and my youngest nephew. We actually made a bingo card of suck. All the sucky things that we expected to see in the movie. One of the things I put onto my bingo card, which actually didn't end up happening, was Snow White wielding a sword. She's given a sword. The Wicked Queen at one point is all like, here's the sword. Slay me, Snow White. Slay me and save your people. And then Snow White gets ready, like you think she's about to go slay Queen, but then she tosses the blade aside, and then she's all like, no, because I remember. And then she starts naming off people's names and the things that they used to do before they began working for the Wicked Queen. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Never mind, I'm no longer evil. And then the queen is like, no, you've robbed me of all my hench people. And so she goes and she shatters the magic mirror out of anger. And the magic mirror then turns her to coal dust and she dies. And that was so anticlimactic. But because of that, I got robbed of Snow White using a sword, because that was one of the dumb things that I said was going to happen in the movie. We got so close. It didn't happen. Still got 2 bingos, though. Still got 2 bingos from dopey talking, weird existential crises, fake out deaths that weren't necessary, needless tripping, horrible CGI. Things that I should have put onto the bingo card of suck was this one would have been hilarious to put on there. There's 2 times in the movie where you get a where you get Marxist teachings. Just like, it's ridiculous. I was like, what? I looked around. I was like, does anyone else here actually possibly know this? There's like some families there with their kids. I'm like, I don't think anyone here studied Karl Marx to realize that Doc has started quoting, no, not directly quoting, but getting very close to quoting Karl Marx. It's like, okay, so that just happened. Oh, that was a moment. That was a moment that happened. oh, guys. Oh, I just discovered something for the Gaslight District. Oh, we're going to be eating good tonight. But yeah. So okay. Coming back to it, because I got a little bit on a tangent right there. If this movie had been made 20 to 30 years ago with Hilary Duff playing the part of Snow White, this movie would have been remembered as like a girly cult classic and might have done well afterwards. Because this movie was intended to be a part of the 100-year anniversary of the Walt Disney Company, made by the Walt Disney Company. And it sucks. This will be remembered as one of the greatest travesties, one of the most expensive travesties for Disney ever made. And by golly, do they deserve it. Oh, it's so bad. One of the things that I had not expected for this movie was that this movie decides that it needs to explain why Snow White knows how to bake a pie. And immediately you can tell that the people who wrote this have no idea what actually goes into baking a pie, or that baking pies historically was actually something that working class people did as a means of preserving their food throughout the day, so that way it would be more delicious to eat. These people do not know that stuff. And so throughout the movie, pies are described as like this fantastic delicacy, which is something that like, oh, that's a luxury. Oh, no, pies were not luxuries. Pies were practical. Pies have only become a quote unquote luxury or a dessert in recent memory. Pies, for the most part, have usually been something done, again, to preserve a large amount of food for the working class when they would go to work and not have the chance to go home for 12 to 14 hours. So that way they had food that was still good because of the nice, delicious crust that keeps in all the moisture. Pie. There you go. There's some history for you, which obviously these people did not do their work. Yeah. Or it's what they reference Karl Marx. They don't say Karl Marx, but they start using language right out of Das Kapital. And I'm just like, what were you thinking? Someone should tell the dinos to knock it off with bad morals and general hypocrisy. Yes. Art says they just add to the list of expensive travesties they produced over the 2020s. Yes, I'm looking forward to having doing another bit of a financial dive, since I'll be honest, I can't really trust Valiant Renegade anymore to do that work. Kind of doing my own dive into the finances, being like, okay, then so Disney actually did really well monetarily last year. They had a surplus. How quickly is that surplus being drained by the movies of this year? Oh boy. Yeah, Walt is rolling in his grave for real. I agree, Darkest Daydreams. Someone attach magnets to this guy, to Walt, and we can power Florida. Marilyn says, in live action Princess and the Frog, they just quote Sun Tzu. I would love, okay, if they quoted Sun Tzu in a live action remake of a Disney movie, I would love that. I would give them a small applause. Nobody would make the remake study. Nobody who made the remake studied the Great Depression, apparently. Yes. The only non-travesty by Disney in the 2020s is Encanto. Yeah, Encanto's good. I went into Encanto not expecting much, and I got floored. And when I saw it again, I'm like, no, this is genuinely a good movie. It genuinely is. TV Count, did they ever make chocolate pie? No, they didn't. No chocolate pie in the movie. And the oh, here's a moment in the movie where I was just like, really? So in the original, there's an amazing part where the queen is before the magic mirror and says, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? And then the mirror then says, oh, like basically like that Snow White still is the fairest in the lands, and Snow White is dead. Dead, dear mirror. The huntsman brought me proof. Behold her heart. And then she opens up the really cool box with the heart and the sword for the lock. She opens it up. You as the audience never actually see what's in the contents of the box, but you know that it's supposed to be a heart, because she says it so confidently as she presents it to the mirror. And then the mirror has the awesome rejoinder of Snow White still lives. It still lives. And Snow White still lives, fairest in the land. the heart of a pig you hold in your hand. And then the queen just loses it. And that's when she rushes down to her laboratory and throws a pig's heart across the room. It's an intense moment in the original. It's so good. Man, the dark things that used to be in kids' movies. And in this movie, the queen doesn't even bother checking the box until the mirror tells her that Snow White's still alive. And then when she opens it, there's an apple in the box rather than a heart. Now then, I would understand that they wouldn't want to show a heart because this is a kid's movie and not even the original showed the pig's heart. But you could have still had that really intense moment. And then they cheapen it with a flippin' apple. Oh my gosh. TV account, I also like chocolate pies. Do they make pie flavored pie though? You know what? I would love to have a, oh boy, what flavor? Pie flavor. Disney learned this lesson. Make Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds immortal. Yes. But also, please give those guys a rest. Master Knight DH says, I know this movie isn't the fairest of them all. Just hearing what I am about it. Yes. And it says, I love all those types of pies as long as they taste good. Yeah, good tasting pie. I know a lot of people really don't like apple pies, but my dad makes amazing apple pies. Oh my gosh. For everyone who's a non-believer of apple pie, if I've ever had the chance to give them a slice of his apple pie, they're instantly converted because an apple pie, when done right, just melts in your mouth. Oh, it's so good. It should have had a tiny turtle in the box. Ooh, blueberry pie. Blueberry cobbler is delicious. Oh, so good. Some fresh blueberry cobbler with vanilla ice cream. Ooh, it's one of the best desserts I've ever had. And in the middle of a camp out, too. That's another story. So yeah, the Snow White movie very quickly just starts coming off the rails with in the opening scene. So the very opening scene tells you why she's named Snow White. And obviously she's not named Snow White for the tone of her skin. She's named Snow White because she was born on a wintry night with a storm. So her parents, to commemorate the night, named her Snow White. And I was like, really? Okay. So this was absolutely a choice that you guys made. Okay, well, we'll roll with that. And then the king and the queen, you get some moments with Snow White being there with her parents. This is where you then get the introduction to why the apple pie is so important and why she would have been taught to make apple pies. And then the queen died. The queen dies of disease. The wicked queen shows up and bewitches everyone with her beauty and her magic. She sends the king off to die on that crazy crusade. It feels like they took something right out of the animated Robin Hood to justify why the dad and the king wasn't around. Oh well. So Snow White is then made a servant, and what's the very first thing that we see her doing as a servant? She's mopping rocks outside. Is so just, what the heck is going on? And there's all of these extra musical numbers that don't really make any sense being there in the movie. Here's the thing though, the musical numbers are actually really good. They really are. I enjoyed the music in this movie. The problem is that it made no sense being there at all. None of it worked. Dorcas Daydream says, try me, Lars. I'm the biggest apple pie hater I know. All right. Well, if we ever cross paths, Dorcas Daydreams, I will get you some of my dad's apple pie, and we will see if you can be turned to the pie side of the force. Well, the apple Pi side of the Force. Master 98 says, wait, something actually good? Yes, the music is actually good in this movie. The problem is that the music just doesn't belong. If this had been if this had been a different movie about a princess going up against her wicked stepmother and reclaiming the kingdom, it actually would have worked really well. Yes, it would have been heavily inspired by Snow White, and no one would have cared because it would have been its own movie. And that's something that you can also see throughout this movie, is that it was definitely cobbled together from at least 2, if not 3 different visions for what this movie should have been. When we get to the 7 hobos, who are the friends of, not the prince, there's no prince, we just have Jonathan, the head bandits. When we get to them, you can tell that there were entire scenes taken out of the movie that were meant to explain who these people were, what their names are, what their personalities are like, and their relationships. And way later on, because those scenes and those moments that you never see are referenced in the movie. And it's like, but wait, you took those scenes away from us. How are we supposed to know who any of these people are? Oh, it's so dumb. And yeah, there's no someday my prince will come, because there's no prince. It's instead, someday my bandit will come. Someday a ruffian will steal my heart, is basically what the song should have been. But we don't even get a horrible rendition of Someday My Prince Will Come. That song is missing. The silly song is missing, and instead is substituted for a really, really awful love song. Like, again, if this had come out in the 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, people would have loved this cheesy love song. But because this is Disney, and they spent over $200 million, probably up to $300 million on making this movie, if you cannot make a good love song for the Princess and the Bandit, then you shouldn't be in this job. Not for almost $300 million. Oh, it was just so cringe. So cringe. I'm Omega says, it took me until high school to enjoy soda. Well, I'm Omega, you are living the healthy life, and I applaud you for it. That's good. I wish I didn't like soda so much now as an adult. It would help me out in so many ways, health-wise speaking. Arts, they couldn't even make a good love song. Hannah, that's embarrassing. Jeez, Disney. Yes, it's really sad. And interesting, and so another like positive, the guy who's playing Jonathan, the bandit leader, is actually doing a good job. Yes, he hams it up, but I think it's because he realized that this was an awful movie and just decided to roll with it. Gal Gadot does her best. She does her best. And one of the best ways that I can describe it is that she's very much like one of my favorite students from when I was a teacher. This guy could not get an A on any of his assignments. He just wasn't a great student. But this kid, he earned his C's. He was a straight C student, and he had passion. He showed up. He helped out other kids to the best of his ability. He wanted to learn. He was doing his best every single day. He showed up every single day and did his absolute best. And even though he wasn't a straight A student, everyone loved him, and I loved all the effort he put into it. Such a class act. That's kind of Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot is not a great actress, but she brings her best to every role that she does. And so as a result, it's kind of hard to falter. And it's like, okay, you're doing your best. I applaud you. May says healthy isn't the right word for my life right now. Oh, we're all there. So I can't help but think that Disney is doing this on purpose. If they weren't, they would have already improved as writers. I'm going to put a pin in that because I agree, and I have even more to say on that point. There's a video that I want to do potentially as a writer's rant for the beginning of next month that I know is not going to make me a bunch of friends on YouTube, but it's the truth that needs to be said. So I will give you guys some of my thoughts here on that. So we'll put a pin in your comment because I agree. Um, but yeah, so there's some good acting, and to be all honest, Rachel Zegler does a good job as a singer. She cannot emote to save her life in this movie. Her musical parts are for the most part pretty good. She's got the dancing down. She's a good Broadway actress. At least when it comes to music. When she doesn't have music to play off of in this movie, she's unable to deliver a convincing role as Snow White or really as any kind of character. And they give her some of the preachiest lines which don't match up to other things that she does within the show or within the movie. It's weird. Only emote is weird. There's a lot of weirdness happening in this movie that just doesn't make any sense. And it absolutely comes down to the writers just not understanding and not doing things the way that they should. Ugh. When so yeah, everything from the so everything from the bad. So you got the bad acting, the mopping the stones, so much music that doesn't come from the original movie at all. So a lot of added on stuff that just doesn't work. Dopey talks. The dwarves are not needed at all in this movie, and Dopey talks. Oh, here's another funny thing. None of them can say Dopey. They all say Dobby. Like Dobby. That, like, I always say Dobby. Yes, I know it's Dobby, and I like saying Dobby because it makes people annoyed. But it's like, oh, Dobby the house elf, Dobby the house elf. None of them ever call him Dopey, even though that is clearly his name. They all call him Dobby or Dobby, never Dopey. Oh, it's so. It's really, really silly. And Dopey's all like, and you find out later on, like, Dopey could always speak. He just didn't want to speak until he had something to say. When Dopey finally has something to say, it's the most mundane, uninspiring thing ever. And I'm like, why? No, this wasn't good. This wasn't good. And just all, and then Happy is disturbing. The CGI for Happy is one of the worst things I have seen in a very long time. Oh boy. It's disappointing. It's disappointing because this is Snow White. Snow White the movie, when the original one done by Walt Disney, was transformative on so many levels. It was the first animated full-length animated movie, and it was pivotal in convincing people that animation was a viable form of entertainment for children, because originally old school animation was a little bit on the raunchy side. Something that most people don't learn about, but a lot of original animation way back in the early days was actually pornographic. So Walt Disney tamed animation and made it accessible to children and to families, and told a story that was primarily aimed at kids, but that their parents could also enjoy. That was huge. That is the legacy, in part, of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You would not know that seeing this movie. The heart isn't there. The beauty isn't there. The innovation just isn't there. It just doesn't feel like a good movie at all. And you give it, you want, like, because you want to like it, because it's Snow White, it's Disney, this is the OG stuff, this is the stuff you probably grew up with, and it's not good. It's just depressing. It's really depressing. And so that's just so much of what this movie is, unfortunately. Wasted potential, And at the end of the day, you're just like, why? I should have just watched. I should have just ordered a pizza and watched the original movie, because the original movie is just so much more fun, so much better. And again, had this movie been made by anyone else other than Disney 20 to 30 years ago, with maybe Hilary Duff playing the part of Snow White, everyone would have loved it as like a cultish, girly Snow White remake. But because this was meant to be a celebration of 100 years of Walt Disney, because this is the classic that got everything started, that saved the Walt Disney Company, that saved animation, and I would even argue made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs the most beloved fairy tale from the Brothers Grimm. I think that Little Red Riding Hood and Little Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Cinderella way back in the day were actually far more popular than Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs ever was, because the fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, while it's fun and there's a lot more to it than a lot of the other fairy tales, Snow White is kind of silly. She's actually a dumb character. You're not rooting for her. You end up rooting for the dwarves throughout the story. That's really who the heroes are. And Walt Disney still made the dwarves heroes, but also made Snow White someone that you could love and root for. And it's a beautiful movie. This one, however, just isn't on so many levels. And yeah, it's just that's what it is. It's just a disappointment. And it's a disappointment that I wish wasn't exactly a disappointment. I would love to have gone and seen the movie and come back and reported, no, everyone, it's actually really good. So how does the queen die? The queen dies in a really, really dumb way. So what happens is that Snow White comes to confront her, and you think that there's going to be this big battle, and instead of there being a battle, she's like, oh, I remember everyone. I remember your names and what made you all so great. And she starts naming off all these people and all the things that they did. And then they decide that they are just no longer going to follow the Wicked Queen anymore. And and so it leads to the queen just getting so angry that she that she in a huff goes and talks to the mirror, and the mirror says, "Your beauty is only skin deep." And so she smacks the mirror, shatters it, and so the mirror turns her into charcoal and then sucks her up into it, and then it seals itself, and then the mirror is perfectly fine and the evil queen is dead. That's how she dies, and then the movie ends with everyone having apple pie and singing and dancing, wearing white, and it's meant to look like a wedding, but there is no wedding happening. There's none of that is actually happening there in the movie at all. So yeah. All right, we'll have that. We'll have that here for us here in a little bit, because we've covered the Snow White. Yay! Dark Sage says, "Can we acknowledge that Snow White endured a lot of heavy stuff at only 14 years old?" Yes, she did, and still had the courage to go on in life. That takes a huge amount of mental endurance. And we can also put up other characters like Cinderella right there. Tyler Goodman says, "I bet Tim Burton would be impressed." Yes. For what we're going to see here with the Gaslight District, Tim Burton. I hope that Tim Burton watches this and that we get to hear that we get to hear feedback, because it looks so dang good. Eric says, "What? She doesn't even try and push a boulder to kill the dwarves?" No, not at all. And her whole transformation into a hag is dumb. Like it's missing all of the theatrics. It's missing all of the creepy vibes. They really actually shorten it, so it's kind of it's not a blink and you miss it moment, but the scene is super rushed. They should have had another actress portray the hag, but they have Gal Gadot, with a lot of really bad CGI made to look ugly, and it does not work at all. It's so uncanny valley. My nephew said it was like watching it felt like watching just a slightly more improved version of the Polar Express. It just did not look good at all. And so yeah, they buzzed right on through it. The high drama of Snow White getting poisoned isn't there at all. It's a very rushed scene. The dwarves don't chase after the queen to try to murder her. She goes back to the palace and makes herself beautiful again in order for the showdown to happen. It's so dumb. So dumb. So real quick too. Ty says, I'm not watching that trash. Yes. Say don't watch it. I watch it so other people didn't have to. So to come back to what I the comment that ISO had earlier, I said put a pin in that this was intentional. It 100% was. Disney meant to make Snow White this way. The only reason why it didn't come out alongside Wish for the 100-year anniversary was because the blowback for the 7 hobos was so bad that even after being shamed by Peter Dinklage to fire almost all their dwarf actors or never hire any in the first place to portray the dwarves, that then they were like, oh my gosh, people hate this movie so much. This is how we've made it. We should try to make it at least a little bit like the original. And so they reshot it, and then they cobbled the different visions together, and it's just such a mess. And the problem is that because this was intentional, and because this has been the attitude pushed by Hollywood, already starting back before like 2015, 2016, we've had nearly a decade of this kind of stupidity happening where you don't, like, if you actually try to encourage people to write better, I don't think that they would know how. And also so many audiences have been conditioned to the point where, like, a lot of the critics here on YouTube who march into battle to do battle against Disney and tear apart everything that they ever do. Whenever they do that, like, there's no attempt to actually promote better storytelling. As a result, a lot of critics are like, well, you should try out my story. And I mean, I tell people to try out my stories, but like, they expect people to applaud them for doing the bare minimum for their own stories. It's bonkers. I have checked out, I have been trying to check out the works of different YouTube critics to see how well they do. Clownfish TV, good stuff. I know some people don't like the people over at Clownfish TV. Let me just say this. They wrote well. Their comic series is a fun read, and I recommend it. Shad over from Shadiversity and Night's Watch, you guys can look up my review of his book, Shadow of the Conqueror. Let's just say that there's a lot of problems with it. I've had a look at ISO from no, not ISO. Sorry, ISO. Not ISO. Not ISO. ISOM. Sorry, ISO. ISOM. I've looked at ISOM, and I wasn't impressed. I thought that it could have been something. I just wasn't impressed. It felt like it was an entire volume of nothing but setup. And that's not good. We talked about having good hooks at the beginning of your stories, and ISOM didn't have a good hook. I didn't want to go any further because I just wasn't hooked. If I had been hooked, I'm willing to go on your adventure and see where we go. And people want to be applauded for doing the bare minimum for a story. And this is where Glitch Productions and the people that they're working with are blowing the competition out of the water by delivering interesting stories with some really engaging, interesting writing. They push the envelope. They do crazy things. And we are going to get some of that again here with the Gaslight District. Yes, when we look back at Murder Drones, it's clear that Murder Drones kind of fumbled the ending a little bit, but Murder Drones is still a really fun show with some great characters, amazing action. The animation is on point. The humor, while it's not for everyone, was good. They did a great job. We're watching the amazing digital circus as it proceeds onwards. I'm hoping that it ends amazingly, pun kind of intended, and that it will be a show that we can continue to point back and say it deserved its hundreds of millions of views. And hold on a quick moment, I gotta let the cat out of the office because she's making a little bit of a stink. There you go, kitty. All right, kitty released. So Glitch has been doing really well recently, and I have high hopes for the Gaslight District and for Knights of Guinevere, especially because we will get to see through Knights of Guinevere what a previous Disney animator and storyteller, Dana Terrace, is able to do when Disney isn't screwing it up. Yes, I'm excited for it. Okay, let's see here. ISO says, I hear a lot of people calling Disney political propaganda and virtue signaling, and I have to say, it definitely was an accident. Yeah. I mean, we don't talk about real world politics here on this channel, but Disney did decide to get involved in real world politics, and I mean, if any of you wish to be political in your own personal life, that's absolutely fine. Go on ahead, do your own thing. Just know that when you decide to make something overtly political, especially a story, you better bring your A game, like making something like 1984, which is very political. Funny thing is that a lot of people hold up 1984 as an anti-communist book. It was written by a communist supporting communism, just not supporting what communism had become. It's a great story. I don't like the middle part of it because it's a real slog, but 1984 is a classic, and it shows that you can write a good political thriller and political think piece into a fictional story, but you have to bring your A game. Otherwise, it just comes off as preachy and bad. Oh, yeah, Disney. Yeah, come on, Disney. Master 98 says, I'm glad people who play certain ROM hacks by nasty people so that none of us have to. Yeah, we have people on both sides of the political spectrum confusing the bejesus out of things. It's hurting writing. Exactly. Focus on the writing. Focus on making great stories that are driven by strong, deep characters that can be along a whole spectrum of strong and weak, and motivated and complex. It can be done. In fact, actually, I think that Disney's Pixar is going to do really well with the movie Elio. I thought Elio was going to suck. I saw the newest trailer for it right before Snow White. It looks like a really fun, heartwarming movie. I'm excited for it. So I'm hoping that movie is good because it won me over with the trailer. So I hope it can still be done. ISO says that Master Knight DH, definitely modern politics should stay out of fictional stories. Yes. ISO says, thank you for correcting yourself, Lars. I'm glad I wasn't disappointing you. Yeah, you're not a disappointment to me. No. ISOM was, ISO is not. Tyler Goodman says, the day the Earth blew up was way better than Snow White. Also, I watched it. Fantastic. Matt says, now time for the adrenaline-filled trailer. Crikey! What about abounding Hufflepuff? Yes. All right, so let's finally shift gears and get away from Snow White, the Snow White remake we've been talking about now for nearly an hour. Let's get to what people, I think, really want to talk about, and that is the Gaslight District trailer. We are going to watch through the trailer at first blink and then we're going to start taking it apart bit by bit by bit. I discovered a blink and you miss it frame where there is a code. There's multiple codes in this. And I'm going to show, thankfully, so I didn't solve these codes. That just to be fair. One of the people on our Discord, Ocean, solved most of the codes, and I will share what they gave to us. There's one code that I don't think Ocean got because my son, like, wait a second, I haven't seen this. I don't know what this is. And I'm going to be showing you guys what it is, and hopefully, we can solve it tonight. We're going to see if we can be some good old code breakers. Iconic. Oh, you got here at a good time? Yes, you got here at a good time. Isa says, I prefer not to be political even in my personal life. It's really just not worth the headache. Now, real-world historical political references and writing does sound interesting to me. Yes. ISO, yes. And I've actually been, and as far as like talking about like some interesting things that you can do with writing politics into a story, I've been thinking about analyzing an amazing scene from the movie Kingdom of Heaven. Yes, Kingdom of Heaven is very ahistorical. It gets a lot of things wrong, but oh my gosh, there is one scene where the Templars are versus the Hospitallers arguing before the nobles and the King of Jerusalem, and it is such a good scene. I'm actually getting goosebumps right now thinking about it because it's so well done, and it's done using actual historical politics from the Second Crusade. Oh, it's so good. It is so well done. Like a history nerd like myself was just like, oh. Granted, the Hospitallers didn't actually wield as much authority as they do in the movie, but the Hospitallers are an organization of knights that do not get talked about enough. They are really dang cool. Even though, yes, they were part of the Crusades, and the Crusades were really nasty. I mean, let's just be honest. The Crusades were bad. But the Hospitallers are a really cool organization. Omega says, I've seen a lot of codes on Cartoon Universe's videos. Ooh, hopefully they caught this one. And it'll be it. And then we'll see if we solve something they didn't. Maybe they already solved it. Cartoon Universe has a lot of people working there to get things cranked out way faster than I ever could on my own. ISO says, yeah, World War I, World War II, the Roman Empire, Greece, etc. Great stuff. Art says, you can write allusions to real world politics by not being so on the nose about it in the themes. Yes, exactly. ISO, that's the main reason I like the old Assassin's Creed franchise. It does historical fiction amazingly. Too bad Ubisoft is fumbling for the same reasons as Disney. That's true. However, I did watch some gameplay of the most recent Assassin's Creed, or the one that's right now, the one that's coming out from Mr. Fruit. And as far as gameplay goes, it was fun to watch. I don't know about the story because Mr. Fruit he's not a story guy. Do not watch Mr. Fruit's videos to get anything about the lore, because the guy is only there, as he says, for the unga bunga of just slaughtering his way through games. If you want great gameplay and some hilarious commentary, watch Mr. Fruit. If you want stories for games, do not watch Mr. Fruit. Okay. Let's see here. Tygoman says, also, I had some great news. Coyote versus Acme was now being owned by Catch-Up Entertainment, meaning that it brings back Alive without David Zaslav to screw it up. Catch-Up Entertainment? I don't know that one. But if Coyote versus Acme is finally going to get released, thank goodness, because that movie sounds hilarious, and I really want to see it have a chance. Yeah, David Zaslav has done so much against animation. We think that Disney has been screwing up animation. David Zaslav has been doing his best to kill it, and it really ticks me off. Mallet, Animal Farm. Oh, Animal Farm is so good. That is a great fictional piece on that has great commentary on politics. Really, really good. But again, you have to bring your A game. Also, the book is way more depressing than the movie is. Okay, all that being said, let's get into the Gaslight District and start talking about this stuff. Tiakan says there were some people that saved the day the Earth blew up. I heard that a lot of Japanese people found Assassin's Creed Shadows insulting to their culture, so I assume it was not very historically accurate. Yes. Yeah, that is the case. With what I know of Japanese history, and granted, I've only taken one real class in Japanese history, and the rest I've learned from just talking with other people or watching historical videos about the battles in Japan. Also going to a shinobi village in Japan, which was really, really cool. The real shinobi villages are really neat. But yeah, I can absolutely see that there were definitely liberties taken with certain certain aspects. Also, the whole like killing people by beheading them as your finishing move is a wee bit dramatic, even for the samurai. If you actually want a really great representation of Japanese history and culture in a fictional piece, then you want to watch something made by the Japanese, something like, for instance, Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai is an amazing movie. And if you know a little bit about Japanese history, the movie just comes to life even more so. And it's really impactful. There's a reason why the Americans back in the day loved it so much that they decided to make the Magnificent Seven, which is the cowboy version of Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai is just, so good. Okay, so let's get into this insanity here. And I will not blow out your eardrums by playing this at full volume. So I'm going to play the trailer with a wee bit of commentary, and then I'm going to play the cut of the trailer that I've put together so we can look at certain aspects of it and talk more about it in detail. What I think, and I also want to hear, obviously, what you guys think there in the chat. So, let's get going. Look at all these flies. I'll be honest, this is probably the most disturbing aspect of the trailer for me. Just all these flies. Gah! There's a reason for it. I mean, obviously there's going to be a reason for it. I think, I'm already going to say this already, I think the reason for all the flies is that this is purgatory. And I hope to show you guys later on why I believe that this is purgatory, where everyone is at. Not hell, but purgatory. All right, we just already got a bunch of blink and you miss some moments. Such a cool scene right here. We're going to talk a little bit more about this one. That the flies make our anxiety a high. High anxiety! Thank you, Mel Brooks. Oh, boy. And it's such a precious little look right here. I can't remember who was saying, yeah, I says I was interested in that egg. Yes, we're going to have more about that egg in a bit. I can't remember who it was who said it. Might have been Tyler who said that, or was it I'm Omega who said that, what's his bucket? Nightmare Before Christmas guy would be really impressed with this. Like this right here feels just like classic. It's not claymation, but this looks and feels like a classic claymation shot right here.
What do we do now?
You stay by our side, kid. Now, follow.
Ooh, I'm gonna bring this back right here, because it took me a couple of glances to get that they were making.
What do we do now?
You
right
stay
here.
by our side, kid.
I was like, what's going on? Pinky
Follow my
promise.
lead.
Yes. Don't drop the egg! Lots of death. Cement! Oh man, all those people just cemented to the bottom of the sea or lake or river where they're at, and just again, I think this is purgatory, which is why they're screaming underwater, because they're all screaming underwater. Let's go back to it right here. They're all still screaming underwater. They're not dead. They're not dying either. Oh wait, no, that one guy. Wait a second, I was wrong. There was one person who was dead. Yep. Okay, where you have the X's in their eyes. So kind of similar to murder drones. Dude, don't scream underwater unless you're just trying to make it happen all quicker. Yes, I also like the musical theme. It's good. Oof. Someone gets shot and then it all just ends. Hello, how are you? I'm under the water. Please help me. Breadman. Kai says, I'm super interested in the stop motion style. Stop motion is an art form that should not be allowed to die out because it is absolutely unique and cool in its own way. And involves a lot of skill. Holy cow. Now it says 2 days after my birthday. Let's go. Oh, fantastic. And your birthday's coming up real quick. Alrighty. So that right there, that was the trailer. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go through it bit by bit. I've got some parts where it plays through because they're like, I think that it's more impactful to see the actual motion rather than a freeze frame. And then other times I have it free, like I have the freeze frame going. And we're just going to talk about this and we're going to see what we can find out. As you can see right here, there is code right above 18th of April, 2025. This is buckle up. So that is the code right up there. And again, that is courtesy of Ocean. That right up here, it says buckle up. And the moment that I began to see that there was codes here and everything, I get the Gravity Falls vibe going. And it's impressive, all the kinds of information that is dropped in blink and you miss a moments with codes. This is very much Gravity Falls-esque. And so it's really, really nice to see that beyond the Owl House and a couple of episodes of Amphibia, that we get to see the legacy of Gravity Falls hiding puzzles and clues in plain sight living on. So like 2025, I mean, Gravity Falls ended almost 9 years ago now. And here we are still getting to see its legacy continue. Alex, I unfortunately think that Alex Hirsch will never top Gravity Falls. I think that if he was again in a situation like he was with Disney, where he has to deal with a ton of censorship and people breathing down his neck to make things happen a certain way, and so he has to get creative about how he undermines them. I think that with limitations, Alex Hirsch could deliver an amazing show that could be better than Gravity Falls. But after being at Disney, Alex doesn't want to work in another studio where he's under those same constraints. And so he will never be pushed the same way that he was, like when he was making Gravity Falls. And I think that's one of the reasons why we might never see him outdo it, is because he will probably never again have that kind of adversity pushing against him, forcing him to be his most creative. Because constraints and adversity for a creator are opportunities to unlock new skills and do things differently in a way that others are not expecting. which is one of the reasons why it's good as an author to try writing short stories and novellas. Like if you're a novelist like I am, to have those constraints of words, because that forces you to get creative, to tell a much larger story in as few words as possible. Madeline says, this trailer sparked my question about the action story. Oh, okay. Yeah, the question that you had on Discord. Now I see it. Please don't say I feel old. What are you talking about? I still feel young. 9 years ago. Okay, so let's move on. Part-time Seagull getting his chance to now deliver his story. Okay, so probably I didn't need to have very long freeze frames for each one of these, but I really like how Glitch changed up their logo for each one of the members. So here we've got Ken, the Butcher, with his onion-looking head. But no, his onion-looking head is because of the blade that is splitting his skull, which is why he kind of looks like an onion. Here we got our bread man. Which, bread. Das Brot. Oh, crud, I can't remember this guy's name. We'll get to his name. Mr. Drippy Drip right here. He's so creepy. Or at least his design is really unsettling. And I like that. And then there we have Melancholy, which is another clue that this is probably purgatory, because melancholy is one of the descriptions used for purgatory. His name is Mud. Thank you, I'm Omega. Thank you for letting me know. So yes, so we got Mud, we've got Melancholy, we've got Ken, and we got Bread. I like that detail. I think it's a good detail to have that. So here we got a whole lot of whispering, whispers going around. There's really nothing that we can really discern about what's going on here, other than that there's information being shared. But here we come to one of our first codes to be broken. Tyler Goodman says the music was composed by Oliver Buckland, who composed Ina and Dream Barbecue. I don't know Ina and Dream Barbecue, but the music is pretty good. Madeline says, I would love to see Bread voiced by Michael Kovac. Or Kovach. Michael can't voice everything, guys, even though we would like him to voice everything. Ina's composer? Oh, I'm excited. You guys know more about that than I do, and that makes me happy you guys are excited just based on the musical selection alone. Hey, Fabio's here. So we've got the brain. Here we have the brain and our little code. Let me quickly see if I can pull up. So I was trying to get as much of the code stuff as possible written down, because surprisingly, just popping around trying to find these details, it doesn't look yet like anyone has completely compiled a full alphabet for the code just yet. So I'm going to try to show to you guys the current code. Okay, so this is what I got off of Reddit. This right here is the current code. It's not complete. It can't be complete because, again, Ocean actually delivered really well on some of the big stuff for us. But you guys can find this here on Reddit. This is the code as we so far know it. So jumping back and forth. Let's see what we can find. Whoop. Pause it right here. Okay. So let's see here what I've got. So the three hash marks. So if you look on over, I wish you guys could see my mouse while I'm doing this. If you guys look all the way off over to the right, where they're into the bottom right hand corner. The 3 hashes are a B. The circles that have the 3 lines going down are E's. And I don't know what the last one is. So we've got B-E-E. B-E-E. Bees? Bead? No. Beep. Bean or bin. Probably a bin. So we'll have to figure out what the heck is going on over here with this brain. Let me see if Ocean over on our Discord let's see here if they delivered a little bit more. Yeah, so we got plenty of. Let's see here. Okay. I do not believe. Yeah. Oh wait. Okay. Here we go. So Ocean does have a translation for this one. So let me quickly dump it here into its bees into the chat. Oh, right. You think that it's... Come on, YouTube. This isn't spam. Ugh. Okay, here we go. Fill your parents' car with bees. What? Oh, wow. Come on, YouTube. Thank you for censoring that. Screw you, YouTube. So, the breaking the code is what you see right here with the brain is fill your parents' cars with bees. That is the code. Right, that's the code that you see right there. Yeah, good job, YouTube. Sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, get all those bees and don't get stung somehow. So we've got some silly code stuff. Again, very similar to Gravity Falls. And we're going to begin way more of that now. Then here we've got an interesting shot of part of our gang. We've got Mud, we got Bread, we got Melancholy with all of our little denizens from the Gaslight District with their really weird heads. Who knows what's going on here? We don't really know, but it looks, from the expression of Bread and Mud, it kind of looks like things maybe are not quite going the way that they would hope, because of the way that Mud's hands are kind of up defensively. Bread looks a little bit concerned. Melancholy, on the other hand, looks ready for fun. So we don't have the context for the scene. We can only really guess what the heck is going on. But yeah, the egg. So ISO said he's very interested in this egg. Melancholy is holding up the egg that has this symbol. Almost kind of looks a little bit like an eyeball. Malin says they're looking at how they are now broke. We're all broke. Invest wisely, kids. Invest wisely. Let's have a look at the current alphabet that we know of and see if there's any symbol that stands out to us. So an eyeball on a staff with 3 prongs. There's the upside down. So there's the eyeball with 3 prongs going down, which is an E. A's a circle with the 3 prongs going up. And then O is this really weird symbol, almost kind of like a lamp. But nothing that looks immediately. We broke, now crime. So we don't see an immediate equivalency to what on earth this symbol on the egg might mean. ISO says, I saw a Gaslight District thumbnail a few hours ago. Something about being born from the egg of an angel. I didn't watch the video. We do know that a human is supposed to arrive and that there are angelic beings in this show. And we're going to get more details about that as we go deeper into the trailer, bit by bit by bit. So, angels, humans, an egg. Melancholy is most likely already a human. And as we're going to see, if there's now another angel's egg, this could mean some really serious shenanigans going on. Yes, a drowned city. Okay. Drowned city. As far as the drowned city goes, I have no idea what the drowned city means. It's just there. But be ready now, everyone, for code time. So there's a lot right here with this marked hand. And let's see if YouTube won't. Let's see if YouTube will cooperate. So again, this is thanks to Ocean for their breaking of the code. Let's see if I can post this. Okay, so I'm going to post this bit for bit. Hopefully, okay, there we go. Thank you, YouTube. All right, so we'll post this bit for bit, and we shall then discuss. This is this right here. This is some intense stuff. Upon injury, the body will persist. Bolstered by the mark, it will restore itself, but never to completion. Oop. Nope, I did not want that. I wanted this highlighted and caught. There we go. And popping it on over here. All right, so up in the bottom, so not up in the bottom, up in the top left-hand corner, this is what we have. The body of he who bears the mark of the hand shall suffer injury, shall feel pain, shall witness death, but is forever tethered to the soul. Upon injury, the body will persist, bolstered by the mark. It will restore itself, but never to completion. That is a horrible curse. that you will get to see all these things. You shall suffer. You shall have pain, injury. You shall witness death. Your body will persist no matter how many times it is bruised, broken, beaten up. But though it will restore itself, it will never be to full completion. Omega says the mark of Cain. Yeah, we're getting some Mark of Cain vibes going on right here, which, even though it's a curse, even though it's a mark of damnation, is also kind of purgatory in its own way, because you continue to persist without ever changing, unable to go forward or go backwards. Purgatory is its own really weird state of limbo. Marilyn says solver users, but less OP. Watch one of these be a plot to overthrow the government or something. Maybe the government of most likely Purgatory. We don't yet know. We are definitely left to consider what the heck this is. Now then, let's grab up the next part. This is from the bottom right. So here's the first part. And let me then grab up this second. The body of he who bears the mark of the hand has become a tomb. All right. So, this is then in the bottom right-hand corner. Upon death, the seal will awaken and bind the soul to the body once more. The body of he who bears the mark of the hand has become a tomb for his soul, evermore and evermore. Nevermore, nevermore. Which, when you see that, especially the evermore, evermore, and there's all those crows running around, suddenly maybe like, oh, there's a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe happening right here. Reality's an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Bye, gold. Bye. So yeah, I'm going to say this. I think Omega is onto something here with this potentially being the mark of Cain. It's just pretty intense to consider. And this might help to explain, as we go throughout the show, why maybe Melancholy will survive a lot of stuff that happens to her. We just don't know yet. But this kind of gives us a little bit of a clue as to why Melancholy, potentially as a real human, is able to survive with all these other people who death really doesn't mean anything much to them in this world. As one of the promotionals for the show said, death doesn't mean much so long as you are able to slime your way out of it. But for a human, death is death, unless you potentially have this thing. All right, this creepy shot right here. All the meat and the eyes and the fly. Just, this is one of those shots that makes me question if maybe this actually isn't hell, just because of how flies are associated with something like gluttony. But at the same time, I feel like putting people into hell is just so overdone at this point that it is more interesting to put them into a place like purgatory, and just the way that all of the other characters look, where they're just kind of stuck in a weird state of atrophy and death, feels in a way more reminiscent of a darker version of purgatory, where it's like they're just waiting. Which way do you go? Do you slide back into hell and then become whatever, or do you pass forward into heaven and become whatever? That's what I personally think this all is. And so the flies kind of throw off my assessment a little bit, and they could just be there for just the disturbing aesthetic that you see right here. This is definitely going to be more of a mature show. If anyone wants to show this to like an 8-year-old kid, my answer is no. Now it says, curse now, we cheat death. Plus puts on sunglasses and runs off a bridge with the car. TV account, it gives me nightmares. It gave me nightmares. Yeah, this is a nightmare fuel image. So let's move on from the weird fly dinner. Look, bread eating a car. Yum, yum, yum. Though the question is if that is actually the sweet bread that we've seen before, or if this is not the bigger monster hanging out in the back of one of the pictures. Again, we're lacking context, but this kind of looks like LA in the middle of the day with just its insane traffic. Now it says it looks like Kane. There's some Kane vibes going there for certain because of that big mouth and the teeth. Okay, now this shot right here. This gave me real pause. So when we look at the crows, crows appear a whole lot, and crows have been part of the advertising for the Gaslight District going all the way back to the beginning. And what I didn't appreciate until seeing this trailer is how some of the crows have a halo. Now what's curious about this, because we know that angels are going to be involved in the story. And crows are interesting because obviously in Norse mythology, crows and ravens have direct access to the gods. Crows and ravens are interesting creatures throughout most mythologies and beliefs because of how they have a closeness to death, and they can either be seen as an ill omen or as something really good. And in this case, these crows, which again, if we're laboring under the assumption that this is a kind of purgatory, Dark X Wolf 17 reference. Yes. Dark X Wolf 17. No. This halo right here above one of the crows is just fascinating to me because I'm like, what does it mean? Is the crow an angel? Is it the familiar that follows an angel? Because as we'll get to see in other shots, it seems as though crows do accompany the more angelic looking figures. So are the crows angelic? Is this an angel in disguise? Or is this a crow that is trying to reach melancholy because of what melancholy is? We don't really know. There is a moment later on in the trailer where she steps down on something with a halo, and it could very well be this crow or a crow just like it. Which, again, we're lacking context, so we just don't know what the significance is. But seeing this is just a cool shot for one, and it will most definitely have some kind of connection to the angels and what the hey is happening. And maybe, and again, if I'm going to spin out a theory right here, I think that this crow is specifically trying to find melancholy, because melancholy is one of the humans that needs to either be rescued out of purgatory, or is, as we're going to see, like once every 10,000 years, a human born of an angel shows up, and then things happen. And maybe this is, as Marilyn says, some have different power. Maybe this is how a human like melancholy can tap into greater powers, angelic powers. We just don't know. But that would kind of be my guess, is that this crow is looking for melancholy to unite melancholy with the powers that are rightfully hers. That is my current working theory, just based off of this scene and some of the other context clues within the trailer. So let this go a little bit further. And then we've got what appears to be a kind of diner or bar area. We got Mud smoking his little cigarette right there, looking a whole lot like the aliens from Abe's Oddworld Odyssey and Exodus. I think the McLuckins is what they call them. The really weird octopus-looking creatures that just only have like legs. That's what he reminded me of in this shot. They bought the Halo DLC. But yeah, we're definitely going to have many different moments at a diner. Now then, this is where we already begin to get some connections between crows and angels. So the moment that I saw this thing right here, I was like, this has got to be some sort of angelic figure. And I hadn't even looked that deep into it at the time I first saw it. You can see what appear to be crosses all along its body. Just the way it's so sleek and different and clean as opposed to everything else in this place. Plus, on top of that, it has an old school police hat. This star-brimmed hat up on top of its head with a crow accompanying it. So I think, again, the crows are very closely linked to the angels. Either they are the eyes of the angels or they are the familiars of the angels. A symbol of the angelic power or source of angelic power. We just don't know yet, but crows, angels, definitely connected together. And Omega says they have both sets of limbs, but the actual legs are tiny as heck. Okay, thank you, Omega. Thank you for correcting me there. Yes, they do have all their limbs, just the actual legs are super tiny. That is true. Marilyn says RoboCop. The oppressive uniform gives it away. Yeah, look at that. Also, I think, let's see here. No, never mind. That's not a cape right behind it. It looks like it could be a cape, but I think that's just part of the door frame that this thing has strode through. Imposing, impressive, sleek, dangerous. Say, the angels are going to be interesting characters when they get introduced. Now we actually get a conflict between one of the denizens of this world and an angel. This is a cool, interesting shot. This is not Ken, as far as we can see from his head. Though maybe it's Ken in the past. We don't yet know. It could be Ken because of the cleaver, but I'm not yet willing to bank on that this is Ken. But we got a guy with a cleaver. He's got a nice uniform, a nice-ish uniform on. His glowing eyes, it's all red. And we then get the flash. We'll get the flash of his blade as you then see the face and head of an angel. So, hey, hell of a not hell of a boss. Has been hotel anyone? Angels versus demons. Hello, robotic angel figures. Watch him fight, Ken. I'm willing to see that. Again, this is a really, really cool shot that we unfortunately just do not have the context for, but this looks really good. Gives me some nice chills looking at this image. And then who knows what's going on here? We're absolutely missing the context for this, but this is most likely meant to be very like a dark humor scene of someone missing an eye. Their head is just screaming right there as someone turns and screams at the camera. Who knows what's going on? But this was an interesting shot for sure. Hey, Mimic is here. Great to have you here, Mimic. The dark, grimy, and green aesthetic of this trailer sort of reminded me of this animated movie that came out in 2009 called 9. Oh, that's right. I actually never saw 9. I had some friends who saw it, and they were all like, that was a really weird, interesting movie. Marilyn says Bill Cipher was here. Bill Cipher took someone's eye. Wouldn't that be something to have this somehow actually be connected to Gravity Falls? Won't happen because Disney owns the rights to Gravity Falls. Alex Hirsch does not, and so they can do whatever they want with it. And I guarantee they did not invite Glitch Productions to play in their sandbox. And then here we have a shot of the of the diner that was most likely from earlier where we saw Mud and everyone else. An eye for an eye. Bro spawned too many screaming heads. Here, kid, I'll give you a screaming head. Oh! This is a neat. So if you look at this is kind of like a Moby Dick looking reference right here. So there's the fin that's been nailed down. You can see the whale's head as it goes backward in the mouth, tapers down to a point. You've got the spears holding it in place along with the chains. There's all the teeth from the maw. And we're right there on the docks. So this is very likely a Moby Dick kind of a place that's been turned into a pub or a diner. And I'm trying to see if we actually have a name up there at the top. It's kind of hard to make out. Really say it's not showing anything. Let's have a whoop. What the heck? Why is it not showing anything? Say what? Okay, that's weird. So I just popped on over there and I saw that it's not showing anything for you guys. But I don't understand why. Okay, that is really weird. That is really weird. Why is it not showing that to you guys? Okay, there we go. There's the image, and then he immediately goes away. What the heck is going on? YouTube, what are you doing? Because I was looking at that image the whole time. That's so weird. That's so weird. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can pull that back just a wee bit, and hopefully then it will pop up for all of you. Okay, let's see. If I hop back on over to what you guys are able to see, it's just slightly delayed. So hopefully it works. Because I want you guys to be able to see. Okay, there we are. There we go. And that's so weird. Why was it not showing it to you earlier? That is really, really weird. But yeah, so there you have it. Hopefully you guys can now see the whale properly. There's the whale. There's its fin nailed down to the docks. There's the spears and whatnot on its back, the chains, the maw with all of its teeth, the disgusting hue to its dead flesh. Mallet says, can't wait for all the kids to watch this and get traumatized. I mean, it kind of depends on the kids, but yes. So yeah, there's our diner area. Who feels like going and getting some fish now? I agree, Madeline. It does look pretty awesome. Okay, so we'll continue on. There we go in, and then there's our good girl Melancholy under the lights, kind of having like a fourth wall breaking moment of like, oh crap, oh wait, what? Now it says, I never cared for fish. I never cared for stroganoff. She said that like a Romanoff. Depends on the fish. Fish is good. Just don't microwave leftover fish in the communal microwave at work. That you will make enemies out of everyone. I like this look of Melancholy right here. And then we get to see the gang. So here we got Ken with the cleaver in his head. We got Mud, we got Bread. Looks like they're all at the counter, most likely again of the diner that's inside the whale. And we're missing context for a lot of the stuff happening. I do like that if you look closely, you can see a bunch of bottles stuck into Bread's head, upside down. Maybe that's how he drinks. He just absorbs everything into his head. But this is most likely one of those moments of like, come on, kid, we're all family here. It's probably what this is. And as we come to find out as we go further in, this is a criminal gang. These guys are kind of mafia-esque, if not the mafia in town, doing all of their shady shenanigans. And that's going to be important because there's evidence within the trailer to suggest that these guys got their hands on a human, Melancholy, and have potentially been using her to their own benefit, or maybe they realized that something really bad was going to happen now that a human is in their world in the Gaslight District and is kind of keeping her on the down low so that way things don't get out of hand. Maybe they really care about her and they're not interested in getting rid of her at all. Who knows? But this is very clearly the, hey kid, we're all family here kind of a scene. Now it says, Brett looks like he just ate something that he hit a little too hard. All right. Whoop. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I clicked the wrong thing and it sent me all the way back. Okay. Popping on over further. All right, here we are. There we go. So Melancholy with Mud. And this is going to be one of those things I think running throughout the series where we're going to be teased with whether or not Melancholy is a human. Because she certainly looks human compared to everyone else involved right here. But when you look at her, she just does not look like how we might expect a human. Even within a Tim Burton movie, it's usually very clear when someone is a human. She's got the whole corpse bride thing going for her right here. Just not as many bones showing. So there she is, embracing Mud. This is dripping chin. Mig says, yeah, both crows and vultures are heavily symbolic and have been spiritually historically tied towards death and bad omens. I've noticed. Very fascinating and somewhat creepy stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay. I know this has absolutely nothing to do with the show at all, but thinking of Mud's dripping chin right here, I want to share with you guys a really, really quick story. So I used to have a prominent scar on my chin, going towards my jaw, kind of up my jaw, and that you can't see it anymore. It's faded away, but I got it from getting into a wooden sword fight on a camping trip when I was in high school, and I had like a whole like Scorpion King moment where like me and this other guy were swinging our blades, and I shattered his, and shrapnel went everywhere, and a bunch of it like slammed into my face and made my face completely numb. It hurt, and then like 2 seconds later, I was just like numb from the pain. What I didn't realize is that it had sliced open my face, from my chin going up my jawline a little bit. And so I had all of this blood that was kind of like Mud's little goatee going. I just had mud and muck and blood just dripping down my chin, just hanging off there. And and it was right at the end of the trip. We'd already packed away most of our stuff. My first aid kit was at the bottom of a pile in the back of a truck. And so one guy's like, well, I got a bunch of little Band-Aids right here. And so we plastered like 12 Band-Aids onto my face to try to like hold my chin and jaw together. And then we went and we got pizza like an hour and a half later. And at the pizza parlor, when we were ordering our pizza, my collection of Band-Aids dripped and drooped off of my chin. And so like to everyone else, I didn't realize this until later, that like there's just this gunk and then the Band-Aids just dangling off of my face in a really disgusting way. And so when I look at Mud and his dripping chin, that's what that reminds me of. I have been there, but with blood and gunk and mud, and not just mud. All right. So there's that story for you. Moving on. I'm interested in what the hey is happening here with this scene. So we can see that Ken and Melancholy are making a pinky promise. Oh, pinky promise time. Who knows what it is for? But if we're paying attention, we are in a meat locker, in a freezer, and look at all of those fly heads. That is really creepy. What have you been doing? Ken? Now, this is where Ken could be the guy that we saw earlier fight an angel, because you can see the red on his arm. Maybe he's gone flabby since then. So a little bit of theory crafting. Maybe Ken is the red guy in the uniform that we saw fighting against an angel earlier. What if Ken fought an angel and got Melancholy? That could then explain why Ken looks so different from the other guy, because this is years later. He fought the angel, he won, he got the egg, he got Melancholy, and he's been having her as part of his gang ever since, and he's changed. Bodies change, honey. Bodies change, as Grunkle Stan told Mabel. And so now he's no longer the really cool guy that we saw earlier fighting an angel. Now it's just Ken, the mafia guy. That could be the case. That's not a bad theory, I think, for us to run with. Right here. Mallet says, I zone out for 5 seconds and hear this story. Never zone out when Lars is rambling. You don't know where you're suddenly going to end up. Mimic, Melancholy sort of looks like she could be the love child of Jack Skeleton and Sally Frankenstein too. She has such an she's such an adorable and wholesome being. In this shot, most definitely, she looks it. She definitely looks the part. And yes, it is very cute. I think that as far as the dynamic in the group is going to go, that Melancholy is going to be the cute, funny one from which like a lot of the humor derives, and everyone else are just going to be like these really like crazy, insane, cutthroat murderers that she's working with. TV Count says, I guess seeing mud must be triggering. It depends on the mud. If I'm seeing mud dripping down off a guy's face, yes. Otherwise, mud? Oh, no. Mud? Love mud football, man. Marilad Ken proceeds to make a really bad joke on how bad marriage is. You see, it's funny because marriage sucks. Marriage is awful. Anyways, we don't know. Again, we're missing context right here, but pinky little swear between the two of them. Melancholy looks like an absolute adorable sweet bean, and Ken looks like he's just putting up with her at the moment. Yeah, kid, I made you a pinky promise. Now get out of my meat locker. So now here we get the interesting little bit. But her aim is getting better. Thank you, Iconic. So where do I come from? Humans are born from angels. Is the little thing that we see here. Sources have confirmed that the prophesized human is born every 10,000 years from the egg of an angel. The human holds the power to destroy the Gaslight District as we know it. It must be rooted out and destroyed with utmost prejudice. That's a good little saying right there. Yes, there we are. Humans are born from the eggs of an angel. And if we're running with the idea that Ken is the one who fights the angel in the trailer, and probably got Melancholy's egg, this is where we could get. I think, like a fun dynamic. Is it that Ken went to destroy the egg, and that's why he fought the angel, and then decided to hatch the egg, or did the egg hatch, and then he saw it was a human, and then he's like, "Oh, this is a sweet thing. What if I raise it like a whole Timon and Pumbaa? It's like." Lions eat guys like us. But he's going to get bigger. Maybe then he'll be on our side. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. What if he's, hey, Pumbaa, I've got an idea. What if he's on our side? Could kind of be the situation like, oh, this is a sweet little thing, but it's going to become a big problem later on. Yeah, but what if it was on our side? Having a human with the power of an angel could be really good for business. Maybe it's something like that. We don't know. But if we do run with the idea that Ken is the one who fought the angel to get the egg, that Ken has Melancholy either because he pitied Melancholy and thought it'd be better to have her around, or because from the beginning he's wanted Melancholy around because Melancholy represents a source of power. Or maybe he plans on using her to end the world. We don't know. But we can spin all different kinds of threads of thought just from this. That's a great picture there. Where do I come from? Yeah, angels laying eggs. The egg of an angel. So Undertale? Maybe. Undertale vibes increase. Then we have right here the little still shot from the car wreck that happens there on the ridiculous highway. Look at all those bridges in the background. I mean, and good on these guys for flipping a semi. The agents from the Matrix would be proud. Taking a drink of water. Angel's egg. So imagine the next Glitch Productions collab is Toby Fox. Oh my gosh. That would break the internet. Also, the question is, would it ever get done? Sorry, Toby. It would get done. Toby, we are going to get chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune before we get the next Grand Theft Auto game. Let that sink in. And then here we have a still shot from the sequence where Melancholy has the next egg and falls down the stairs with it. Iconic. Deltarune tomorrow. Oh, if only. Hashtag Deltarune tomorrow. It's called the Funny Bone Man Show. It's just Sans doing stuff. That's all the show will be. Just Sans. So we're missing context from this right here. But if you look right behind Melancholy, we see something that looks like it has a human hand. You also have the crow's feathers, which again kind of lends itself to that maybe some of the angels can disguise themselves as crows. There's a possibility right there. Again, we're lacking context. And I've watched this multiple times, and it's hard to tell what the heck is up the stairs that she's rolling down from, away from with that egg. Protect that egg, girl. You don't realize how expensive eggs are these days. Glitch Productions animated Sans shorts. Oh, that'd be absolutely amazing. TV account would make for a Lion King reference. Yeah. All right, so let me actually bring this back a little bit so you can see potentially Ken fighting the angel. So there we are. We got the still shot. There she goes. Heave the cleaver. And then just so much death. Here, we'll go back again. Heave the cleaver, and then so many people are just getting shot and blown away. Again, this will not be exactly kid appropriate, this show. I'm pretty certain of that. Heave ho, and all that death, all the shooting. Okay. So here we finally get to it with Melancholy getting ready to stomp on whatever has its halo right here. Again, most likely it's that crow from earlier. Which, okay, so there's so many implications going on right here. For one thing, even though I know these are not the actual feathers of a crow, just the way that the background of this door is shaded and structured, it makes it look like there's a crow figure right behind Melancholy as she's about to stomp on most likely the crow. In the background, though, check this out. This could actually be heaven, or maybe a higher level of purgatory, because there are stars right here. There are stars in the background. Everywhere else that we've seen of this world so far, it is dark, dank, dreary. But here there are stars. So what if Melancholy, as most likely the child of an angel, gets brought by a crow to heaven? She freaks out, then tries to stomp on the crow. Don't know if that's actually what's happening right here, but again, that could be the case. And the background, white buildings, a beautiful starry sky, something to consider. Man, lad, Sans would troll Pomni so hard. Yes, he would. Mick says, imagine the one and only Andrew Hussey, author of Homestuck, hopping onto the glitch train too. Choo-choo! That would be something. That would be something to have Andrew Hussey work together with Glitch. That could be legendary. Marilyn says, what is the bird hatched out of the egg which wasn't supposed to hatch out? I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Melancholy. ISO. The staircase that Melancholy fell down with the egg looked pretty pristine as well. Let's hop back a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that does look like a pristine area. The background's a little bit darker, so it's hard to tell. But if indeed what she's running from or falling from is an angelic figure based off of the feathers that we see and the more humanoid-looking hand that's right there, it could go to say that, yeah, maybe she ended up in heaven and she's running away with another egg. That it's a very interesting idea, and I like it. I like the idea that she's trying to run away from heaven in this scene. Let's play it again and see what we get. So rolling, okay, yeah, the sky looked actually pretty good back there, and then again the pause. So yeah, there's probably a very good chance that Melancholy is going to end up in another world that will be more akin to heaven in this story, and will most likely be brought there by the crow with the halo. So this is going to be a very interesting story, very interesting indeed. Isa says Jackson Sans would either be best friends or have a prank war and destroy one another. Actually, Sans would destroy Jax. Let's just be fair. Sans would absolutely destroy Jax. Because the moment that Jax maybe takes a little bit too far, we all know what Sans is capable of. Cue Megalovania. So stomping of the crow, and then there we go, just more stuff all throughout, all the destruction, which we have no context for, which is why I didn't bother really doing any freeze frame of it, because I'm like, it's just action. This is the part of the trailer where we just now hit you with like, stuff is happening, yay, but lies. So we know that we're going to be dealing with lies in this. Then I like this shot right here of Melancholy looking into the eye of a crow, and again, based off of the background could be in a completely different area. Yeah, we just don't fully know. We're lacking so much context, which is the point of a trailer. A trailer is meant to show you enough stuff in order for you to get to know a little bit about the characters and the story and feel hooked without giving away what the whole story is. That is the point of a good trailer. Disney, take notes. Excuse me, my cough is rearing its ugly head. Marilyn says, Sans would break the laws of the universe to prank Jax, while Jax would literally commit war crimes. I'm just going to commit war crimes here. Nick says, if Andrew Hussey ever collabs with Glitch, then Jax will be able to torment everyone with buckets just because he would. If you know, you know. TV Count, yeah, unlike the Treasure Planet trailer, LOL. Yeah, giving away the whole story. Come on. So we got lie, we got cheat, all these flies. Flies everywhere. Now then. So this is a shot out of the trailer that really, really gets you thinking. So we have a bunch of papers and a picture that are getting burned by a cigarette. Very likely a cigarette from Mud, because he's the one character that we've seen constantly smoking throughout so far. And this would easily get rid of evidence, information that would be helpful to a character like Melancholy. We see a kid, most likely Melancholy, who has hatched out of an egg, and here we have one of the angels. So the evidence of her past is getting burned away. We don't know if this is something that happens in the past. So again, when possibly Ken fights the angel, or if this is something that happens later on in the show, in the main timeline of events, where someone finds information that would help Melancholy know who she is, because we know she's trying to figure out what and who she is, and that information is being destroyed. And again, very likely it's coming from Mud. Watch the angel be named Fred. Frederick Frankenstein. So this is just the shot is what it is. The implications, however, are vast. Because again, this could have happened in the past, or this could be happening in the main timeline of events, the present of the story. And if it is, who is destroying it? The cigarette points to Mud. Or this could be a red herring for us right now. If it's Mud who is destroying this evidence, because it's not just the picture, it's all of these other documents right here. If this is Mud destroying it all, this could be part of the family, the mafia family that Melancholy is a part of, preventing her from finding out anything about herself, because they either don't want her to find out about who she is, because it could lead to the destruction of the Gaslight District, or because they need to keep her around, keep her hoodwinked for their own purposes. We just don't know. All right, Marilad, you getting tired? Well, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. You were great. And I hope you have a good night. And then here we go. We got the whoop. Hold on. Back. Let's get that. All right, there we go. There's our good Mud shots. Here we got Ken the Butcher. We got Melancholy. We got Mud. And we got Breadhead. So there we go. There's our gang. There's our lovely gang right there. And we then come to the last part of the trailer. The guy screaming underwater and then dancing around. Woohoo! With then a shot right here. So here we got Breadhead, we've got Melancholy and Ken. It looks like it's kind of hard to say what exactly Melancholy's holding on to. We then have Mud. We've got an older dude there to the right. We don't have much information on him yet. And then this is the diner. So remember, it's a whale. So there's the whale's head, the open mouth, the big dead eye. And yeah. Why is Ken shoving away Breadhead? Who knows? Who's the guy there in the bottom right-hand corner? We don't know. What exactly is Melancholy holding on to? Don't know. But we're going to find out. Now, the interesting thing about this particular image, and we're lacking context, but I think, excuse me, I think that what's going to kick I think is really going to kick off the main crux of the story is that a main member of the family is going to die, and I think it's going to be Ken. So we know that Melancholy feels very close to Ken. They shared the pinky promise, which if you're going to share a pinky promise with a person in a crime family, chances are you just jinx that person, and now all the red flags are going up. I think Ken is going to get killed. But we get our happy family look right here, and as we move on, there's a shot, and there's a bunch of purple blood that splashes across the picture. Now then, the blood is covering up the guy that we don't have a name for, so maybe this is him getting killed. We don't know. But someone in the family is about to die, and the family is going to get broken. That is what this shot is telling us. So whether it was done altruistically or for selfish motivations that they took in Melancholy, their scheme, their plan, their motivations are going to get broken. Their plans will be exposed as Melancholy is on an adventure to figure out who she is in this really crazy world of death, as we've been told in the promotional. And this right here this image right here, I think is the clue, is the true clue to what the heart of the Gaslight District is going to be. A found family that becomes broken, and the young girl Melancholy, is going to go on an adventure to discover herself, why she's been in the world that she's been in, and who the people are who she's known and loved her whole life. That is what I believe is going to be the true heart and story that holds everything about the District together. That's what I believe is happening. Omega says, I think the guy with the pompadour is the guy who was drowning in the water. It could be. It could very well be him. The series of unfortunate don't knows. Exactly. Yeah, we just don't know, which makes you want to watch it because this is just the trailer. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we can already figure out from the trailer, but we're lacking the context, and so we're just right now theorizing. Love me some good theories. I should do a concentrated video about this, so I can already just kind of get my theories on out there, just like I did with murder drones, and from there we can just start seeing which theories die on the vine real quick, or which ones turn out to be on points. Like I called out even though I got it wrong as to who the puppet master was, I noticed based on the screen flashing with Uzi that there was someone who was hacking Uzi, and that Uzi was in trouble, and that there was a real villain behind it all that we just didn't know yet. I called it. I called it years before we knew anything about Absolute Solver. I was on the right track. I just wasn't on the money. Actually, let's quickly hop on back and let's for I'm Omega's point. Let's see if yep, there's our Pompadour guy. There's our Pompadour guy. You were right, I'm Omega. Drowning there in the water. So Mr. Pompadour is getting drowned. Oh boy. This okay. Now then, this is really hard to really hard to see what the heck is going on here. There is right here a little QR code. I am right now, even though you guys can't see this, I am pulling out my phone, and we are going to try to find out what is going on here. Can I potentially pull this up on my phone? Oh, it looks like it's too pixelated. Too pixelated. Dang it. But yeah, there's that QR code right there, and we've got more coding. Now then, so this is something, if anyone wishes to take a screenshot of this, this is literally in one frame. One frame. And let's see if Ocean or anyone else back on our Discord has already actually solved this bit. Now we say we just got the Butcher. About the show, from the twisted mind of Nick Zopko comes the Gaslight District, a supernatural crime series about a family of undead gangsters in a town where death means nothing and consequences only matter if you can't slime your way out of them. But we don't have, by the looks of it, any other code breaking right here. So we can, if we wish, we can try to figure out what the heck is being said right here. So, time to do some decoding. I am pulling out, and you guys can follow along too. Let's see here. So we have our trident, and then we have the star. The star is an H. And it looks like the next one is an A. So let's see here if that is indeed correct. We'll pull up this right here. So we've got a W, W-H-A. And we'll come back to this. Okay, so we got a weird hooky thing. We then have the bracket going backwards with an X, circle going down, which is an E. Oh boy. Deviant says, I think I have an idea for the next topic: subliminal media in stories, books, games, especially in stuff like Ruby. Say we can have a look at subliminal media in stories and see what kinds of things we might be able to pull out from there. Let's see if there's anything that can help us out from this. Let's see here. I think we got an L. What is our bracket if we've got it? Nope. Say this is going to take a while. that is the truth. Whoop. No, come back here, you. Nope. There we go. Ha. Yeah, this is going to take a little while to properly solve. Again, I am slow when it comes to codes. My brain is just not built that way. But I am very curious to get this one solved. And if you go online, like I tried finding out all the different codes that were solved, No one has yet made it public which codes have really been solved and which ones haven't been. And there's some really early promotional material that has codes on it that, to my knowledge, no one has yet to code it. If they have, they haven't posted for it yet. So you guys can see the codes right here. And I'm not going to spend the next 45 minutes trying to break the code right here. But you can take a quick screenshot of it. You can go back, take a screenshot, and someone can try to access that QR code. That is really frustrating that I can't get to it. It's just so grainy. That's the problem. Wait. Hold on. If I go back on over here, if I actually, hold on a sec, guys. I am popping back into my media editor. Let's see. Oh, wow. How on earth is anyone supposed to be able to use this QR code? I'm going to blow up the image on my end. See if that helps out any. Nope. Man, that's annoying. Yeah, I cannot access the dang QR code. Wait. Ooh. That might help. Come on, give it to me. No. It's just not. Dang it. Well, someone's going to... There'll be someone with way more sophistication than me who's going to get their hands on this image and clean it up and then make it look awesome. That's what I think will... I think that is what's going to have to be done. But there we go. A code that, to my knowledge, has not yet been cracked. And then the last thing that we have here is a map of the world. Now, when you look back at the other image, you can actually see a place that kind of looks like the depiction of hell from Dante's Inferno, of a city that goes downwards, but like when you flip it up, then it looks like a mountain with all the different rings and the different different levels of hell that together make one continuous city. So there is again a hint that maybe this is hell. I'm still standing by that this is likely purgatory, just based on the way that everything looks, but that's just me. However, right here we do have a map of our place. We have Paradise Lost, we have Emberwick, we have Blackout Berg, we have Glimmer Grotto, and we have Chainport. And there's the whale for Chainport. Huzzah. And there's also the emblem of the crow up there. So maybe Paradise Lost is the more angelic area, the place with cleaner air and the access to the stars. Maybe that is where Melancholy ends up later on, since we have the symbol of the crow there for Paradise Lost. So we're going to see. We're given this map literally like the last 2 frames of the trailer, unencumbered by other things. And this is only part of it. This is the East. There's a whole lot more that we might be missing. So this could be a very expansive world with a lot of details. This is exciting. And it's been hinted at by Glitch Productions themselves that this is the most ambitious project that they've ever worked on. And I can kind of see that. Not just simply in the animation quality, but I think in terms of world building and all of the different details that they're going to put into the story, I think that that's what makes it so ambitious, because it is way bigger than already with the codes, with the maps. This is more interactive than any of the stuff that I've yet seen from them in terms of their shows, where you as the audience are encouraged to go back again and again and spend your time with all of these different details, just like you would be encouraged to do so with Gravity Falls. So That is what I'm seeing right here. TV account says try raising the definition on the video, like the thing for making the video clearer. I'll have to try to do that later, TV account, because the program that I use is definitely of a lower quality. I do have DaVinci Pro, but DaVinci Pro always crashes, and I need to go through the process of figuring out what the heck is going on with it and definitely update it, which is going to eat up a lot of time and memory on my computer because it's such a honking big program. It's a good program, but it is a lot. So this is what we have to work with thus far right here. We got maps, we got codes, we've got the crazy trailer. Also, I should actually pull this up for you guys. I think that you will enjoy. I think you guys will enjoy seeing. I think you guys will enjoy seeing this bit. Let me pull up if I still have it. Okay, right here, the prophecy page. I'm going to place it right here, and and then I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let's see here. We're going to share screen. Yeah, I know. I double it on up. Okay, let's see here. We're going to allow. So there we go. So here you guys have it. The Gaslight District. The prophecy page. You look up right here. You guys can check out the prophecy.page. It used to be more interactive, much similar to the Gravity Falls interactive website that was released with the Book of Bill. But now that the trailer has dropped, you just get this. So you can just watch the trailer, but it was interactive in that you could put in different words and different ideas into a search bar, and then it would comment differently. So a little neat lead up. This will probably continue to be relevant and change throughout the course of the show, is my guess. Because if they just built this website just as a promotional, sure, that's cool and all, but it's kind of wasted potential. I think that they're going to do a whole lot more with it as the show goes on. At least I definitely would, because then it encourages, again, the audience to really participate and not just simply be looking for those codes, but find certain clues that you might be able to feed back into this to get even more details about what's happening in the series. A series that rewards you for going deeper, for paying attention, for going back again and again, which is a very wise way of keeping the audience engaged long term for for the story that you're telling. So yeah, there you guys have it. That is the trailer and the breakdown of said trailer for the Gaslight District. It's going to be something. Okay, so let me take a drink of water right here, collect myself, and we'll round off the night by talking about my little writing lesson. Which again, there's no slideshow for it, because it's more of like a key bit of advice that I hope that people will take to heart. And maybe give them a little boost of confidence, especially if you're a struggling architect writer, meaning someone who puts a lot of work into the details and the plan and whatnot that will go into your story, rather than just having a simple outline and then just cutting loose and then doing whatever you want. Because sometimes doing the outline itself can be pretty daunting and overwhelming, especially if there's so many details that you want to put in, and then you just get lost in the minutia, and then you never get around to writing because you're so stuck in the minutia, all the details of world building, characters, plot lines, blah, 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 blah. And then when you start writing, you're more worried about hitting that checklist of all the stuff you're supposed to include, rather than actually writing what you're supposed to write. Omega says, are you going to look into the Murder Drones analog horror Mechanical Instinct? I have heard of Mechanical Instincts, and I'll look into it and see if that's something that we'll want to talk about, because I think that could be cool if it is. Okay, there we are. So Mechanical Instinct Lab. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I just pulled that up real quick over here on my end. So let me get a little bit more background moving footage. Just to keep things flowing beautifully for us, and then I'll share with you guys what my current thoughts are. The lesson which I wish would. So, excuse me. What I wanted to tell you guys is this. Not focus on. That's the wrong way to start it. When you're writing, allow yourself the chance to have happy accidents. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be times where you're going to be writing something that is going to change how you view a certain part of your story. Where you'll suddenly have a stroke of inspiration and realize, no, I actually need to write this. Or no, my character actually needs this. And it will be something that in the moment might be really discouraging, because you're like, oh, but that goes against my original plot line. That's just something that I haven't planned for. This could absolutely ruin and derail me. But what you'll find is that if you're willing to give yourself a chance to just write, and discover, that you will have these moments of happy accidents, where something that you write will actually fix a problem that you didn't even know that you had, or a problem that you knew that you had and you weren't sure how to overcome it. So I'll give an example. As I've been working on the next book that I intend to publish, which is The White Snake, a take on the story of the White Snake, as told by the Brothers Grimm. I have two different kingdoms that the main character is in: the Kingdom of White Scales and the Kingdom of Andalusia. Which the Kingdom of Andalusia, if you know anything Spanish, is kind of a bastardization, but a nice bastardization of the name Andalusia, which at a time was its own kingdom. So it's meant to be kind of like a Spanish/Moorish kingdom that the main character ends up in, where he has the majority of his adventures, as he is banished from the Kingdom of White Scales because he has eaten the corpse of a white snake that allows him to talk to animals. So a cool little element right there. The story is one of the weirder ones from the Brothers Grimm, but I thought I would give a shot at retelling it and giving it a different bit of flavor. So as I've been writing this, one of the things that's kind of irked me, that's been a problem, has been the Kingdom of Andalusia itself. Because I'll be honest, I did not do enough world building to properly plan for it. As a result, the Kingdom of Andalusia, for the longest time, has just felt kind of odd, out of place. Like, what am I trying to do with this? What's the point? Where is it going? Are there any rules that make sense to this place? Who exactly are the people? Or am I just stealing a good idea from the Chronicles of Narnia with the horse and his boy? Hey, James Norton, good to have you here. Like that's where I felt. I felt like I was just. I felt like I was, in a very uncreative way, stealing from the Chronicles of Narnia, not really doing anything that was helpful to my overall story, The White Snake. James Norton, the footage that you're seeing right here as I'm babbling on is from Elden Ring. And so as I've been editing the book and rewriting certain scenes, there are moments where I was going through and I was finding ideas where I was like, oh my gosh, why did I even write this? Why is this in there? What was I thinking? And then there were moments where I find stuff that I wrote earlier that I was like, wait a second. That's actually a great idea. It was a little happy accident, something I'd not planned for, that ended up becoming something that thematically or world building wise or plot wise ended up working to my advantage. And in this case, I'll bring up one of those instances. One of them is the gates to the city of Rosha, which is the capital city to the kingdom of Andalusia. One of the details for the city of Rosha is that its gates never close. The gates are always open, always welcoming, which is how the main character Finn manages to come into the city, meets the princess, falls in love with the princess at first sight, and then the rest of the fairy tale continues on in a somewhat similar vein to how it is in the Brothers Grimm fairy tale. And so I was like, okay, well, this is a little interesting detail. And then later on, I realized that without even really thinking too much about it, thematically, I'd actually created an excellent opportunity where you realize that something is very wrong with the city, that it is now set against the hero because the gates are closed, whereas the gates had always been open beforehand. Now they're closed, Finn is truly an enemy of Andalusia and of the city of Rosha. And this then sets him up to go against the main villain, to have his great heroic moments. And this then allowed me to actually create allowed me then to support a twist that I wanted for the end of the story. I'm not going to give it away because I would absolutely give away a neat part of the story. You'll just have to check it out once I finally publish it. But it was a happy accident moment. I had managed to create the foundation necessary for a really cool twist that helps to set up something even better later on. And I know that's me being vague right there, and you guys will see definitely what I mean once the book is out, and you guys will be able to read it for yourselves. But it was a happy accident, something that I had not truly planned for. Sure, maybe if I had put in like hours and hours of extra thought into the planning of the plot line and the planning of the world and all those other things, I could have already set up all those thematic connections, and it would be glorious and beautiful. But I hadn't done that, and I didn't have that information readily available at my fingertips. I was in many ways just kind of plowing along, writing the story. I knew the main points of, okay, rather than the main character having three moments where he saves animals, like in the original fairy tale, I want to go big and do another big fairy tale number, which is 7. So the main character doesn't just simply save people 3 times, he saves them 7 times. Ooh, this is the big number. 7 and 12 are your big fairy tale numbers that you definitely want to focus on. Excuse me. And so I was just pushing ahead with all that, and had a vague idea of where I wanted to go with the ending. I just wrote. I wrote and saw where I was going to end up. And sure, the editing process is a pain. The editing process is important. And it's in the editing process where we mostly find those happy mistakes, Where we find a lot of stuff where we're like, oh, why did I write that? That was so bad. But then you end up finding other things. You're like, oh, actually, that's really good. I can build on that. What was I thinking when I wrote that? That was a great idea. And this is why the editing process is so important. Because in the editing process of writing, you will find things that will make your story better, as well as finding those things that need to be removed in order to make your story better. It goes both ways. What I would highly encourage you to do when you're editing your book is to look for those things that will make your story stronger. Normally, when we're editing, we're thinking about correcting things. We're always thinking about what's wrong and trying to fix it. But I think one of the ways to make the editing process a whole lot better overall is to find those things that you wrote that end up making your story way stronger than you even expected yourself. It happens way more often than you realize. And as a little bit of a give yourself a pat on the back moment, for anyone who does this, congratulations. You are the reason why AI will never be able to fully replace real authors. Because AI cannot realize that a story would be better because of something it accidentally wrote. Because AI does not do stuff by mistake. It does what you tell it to do, and it does it to the best of its ability. And because it's doing it to the best of its ability, AI never thinks it got something wrong. It's up to you to then do the editing. But here's the thing. If you had an AI engine write your story for you, and then you begin editing your way through it, you will not have that previous knowledge of, oh, I wrote this because of this reason. Because you never wrote it. A machine did it for you. And so you then lack that connection that will allow you then to turn that accident into a happy accident, which allows you to see your story from a different angle, or part of your story from a different angle, allowing you to figure out what will work best in order to make the story the best that it can be. Those happy accidents are an organic part of storytelling that AI cannot replicate. And it's also an element of storytelling that if you're willing to pay attention to it, again, focus on the things that you surprisingly did well in your first or second draft, that you're like, wow, that's actually really cool. I didn't realize I wrote that, but I can work with this. Those kinds of moments and realizations allow you to truly transform your story into what it can be, into the best version of itself that it can be. So, when you're doing your editing, look out for those happy accidents. We all have them. Moments where we're like, wow, I did not realize I wrote this, or oh my gosh, I could have written this so much better, and it kind of sucks. But then you look back and you're like, wait a second, there's something here. Those happy accidents, you can never plan for them. Sure, if you go really, really hard into the paint of planning out your story and all the different elements and down to the most minute thing, sure, maybe you never have that. But I still think that you will have those kinds of moments, especially if you are learning to explore your characters, getting to know them as you write. And that's an important part. That is a very important part of writing, is getting to learn more about your characters and your world as you write, because you won't have it all first try. You just won't. But it's very easy. It's very easy to write what you want to write and then to move on and think that you're done, that you're not going to do any more after that point. Don't be like that. That's the AI approach. That's the robotic approach. That's the tunnel vision approach to storytelling. Edit your stories. Just get to writing, get everything out onto the page that you can. That's what your first draft is there for. That's why it's messy. And in the editing process, you find what works. And many times you're going to find those little happy accidents that help your story to really be what it can and must be in order for it to be its best self. Because just remember this, You need your stories need you, and the world needs your stories. For us as the creators, writing these stories to the best of our ability, exploring more, going even deeper is just so rewarding, so beautiful. From that point on, however, as you work more and more on your story, what you're ultimately doing is you're making the story the best that it can be because your story needs you. Your story takes on a life of its own as you write. And that's really important. And then once your story becomes the best that it can be, it's then ready to go out to the world. And as the best that it can be, it can reach more people and do a better job of whatever that story has to do in terms of either entertaining, informing, ennobling, providing a respite or an escape for someone. Whatever it is that the story must do, it can do it better as you make your story better. And that happens in the editing process. And again, keeping an eye out for the things that you did well. Because we often focus on the things that we did wrong. But focus as well on the things that you did well. And you will discover those happy accidents that end up transforming your story and making it better in the long run. Yep, Mivik says right here, AI will never experience growth. Yeah, it can't. The programming can get better, but AI will never be able to experience true inspiration. And neither will AI ever learn from a mistake that it made or from something it never intended to write and figure out how to make that even better in order to make the story all around just more well-rounded, more interesting, more engaging, deeper. AI can't do that because AI is already, from its perspective, doing its absolute best based on the parameters that you gave it. It's a simulated intelligence meant to do the best based on whatever intelligence has fed something to it. So yeah, don't go the AI writing route. Go through the painful, long process of doing your own writing. Sorry. Whew. This cough is beginning to get to me, and I've been blabbering on now for over 2.5 hours. Woo, boy. Good drink of water right there. Okay, so those are my thoughts. Everything from Snow White to the Gaslight District to the happy accidents in writing. Don't be like an AI machine. Get creative yourself. So, unless you guys have something that you really, really quickly want me to talk about that you'll put there into the chat, I think that we can start wrapping things up there. So as I'm giving you guys a chance to put anything else into the chat that you really want me to talk about before we end, real quick. So no one has yet claimed a frog for the Apothecary Diaries series. We still have frogs from Camille, y'all, that we desperately want to give away, but we can only give them away if someone comments with the correct number of frogs for those videos. So there's 2 videos up where people can still claim frogs this last week and the week before. If you want yourself an illustrated frog directly from Camille, make sure that you head on over there, you check out those Apothecary Diary videos, and go looking for the frogs. I'll even give you a hint. All the frogs that you're looking for are in the first 6 minutes of the video. You just got to make sure that you find them all. And yes, if you see 2 frogs in an image, those count as 2 frogs or more frogs, depending on how many frogs might be there. We really, really want to give away those frogs. So please, please watch those videos and comment with the correct number of frogs. Then let's see here. I just did the review and recommendation for the Obsidian Archive. I will be doing an interview with the YouTuber who did the Obsidian Archive in 2 weeks. I was just talking with him and getting that all set up. I was hoping to do it next week, but our schedules just didn't quite align. So in 2 weeks' time, first Friday of April, we will have the Obsidian Archivist here on Camille's Harem for a live stream, and we'll be conducting an interview. So that way you can hear about his process, his thoughts, and if you have any questions, you can also then pose those questions to him. Also, in terms of content crank out, I'm going to have to start juggling things slightly differently because I've gotten myself a new job that I will be starting not next week but the week after, which will eat up a fair amount of my time during the week. So there won't be as many videos, at least directly from me. So that's going to happen. But hey, having a job is good. Having income is great. And I especially need it in order to afford the good cover art and in-book art for the White Snake and for the 4th book in the Legend of the Ten Lords series, because those are the 2 books that I intend to publish this year. So I am busy in order to promote my creative endeavors. Omega says, any thoughts on No Evil so far? I know I've been harping on the series, but it really needs more love. I'm Omega. I have not had any time to check out No Evil recently, and that comes down to just things happening in my own personal life. Like this last week and a half was insanely busy. You might have seen that some of the quality for some of the videos might not have been all that great. That's part of the reason why. And I've not gotten as much writing done as I would have wanted to this past almost 2 weeks now, in part just because I've been so busy. So don't worry. I know you've been harping on it, but I will be checking it out. I do not have any good solid thoughts for you thus far because I've not been able to watch enough of No Evil to really have a good, strong opinion and insight that I can then pass on to you. And I don't want to just pull something out of the ether and try to pretend like I know what I'm talking about when I really don't. I've done that. I've tried that once before and it did not fly well. I have learned my lesson. Don't be a fake. Mimic says all the little accidents are very important. Remember, Professor Utonium created the Powerpuff Girls by accidentally dumping Chemical X into the mix. Just saying. Yes. Yes. Sugar, spice, and everything nice with some Chemical X. And then you get the Powerpuff Girls, which is fantastic. And I'm so glad that the live-action Powerpuff Girls series never really became a thing because, that would have been awful. All right, so congratulations, Lars. I'll be getting a job soon as well. Oh, fantastic! I hope it's a good job and a good experience for you, ISO. He says, "Yay! Congrats on the brand new job, Mr. Lars. Hopefully, the PTSD of your fast food experience won't get to you in this job." Well, here's the thing: I do not have any post-traumatic stress from working fast food. I will never work fast food again because I will never have another positive experience like I did at Jimmy John's. That was the best. Nearly every coworker was amazing. All of the managers were awesome. Most of the customers were really cool. It was a really, really nice job. I'm really glad I had it. Last time I went back to that particular Jimmy John's location, all the people I worked with had long since left. And now there's a bunch of new people there who are all slow slobs. And then, yes, I'm not exaggerating. They all make their sandwiches way slower than the rest of us, which it's fast food, whatever. I get my sandwich still in like 2 minutes. I'm totally fine. But these people have shirts that have massive holes in them. You can tell they've not washed their hands. You can see the grime on their fingernails, under the fingernails, and they're just not happy. We always had to have a big, bright smile on our face and shout out, hello, to everyone who came into the store. That's the attitude I know of from Jimmy John's. And that's not the attitude that I see at that Jimmy John's location anymore. So that's the disappointing thing. It was great working there when I did. I am not going back to work there again or in fast food because I will never again have that awesome of an experience. Say this new job will be an interesting one for me. It's really taking me out of my comfort zone because despite the fact that I'm here online so often, I'm actually not that great with electronics or with computers. this job will be one where I actually will be spending a fair amount of time with electronics, doing computer stuff. I'll be doing research into sound systems and broadcasting systems for a showroom area, which we're going to transform and try to update and everything. So that's going to be interesting. And it'll be the first time in a long time that I've been working. My very first job was with the University of Arizona, and I will be working with the University of Arizona again. So this will be a neat job, but I should still have plenty of time to do my own writing endeavors and, of course, be here on YouTube. So this channel isn't going to die. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But things will have to change a little bit just out of necessity. So it is what it is. And again, jobs are good. You need to have the job. You need to be able to pay the bills and do the things that you want to do. That's just part of the nature of how we run the show. And so really for anyone who is also in a situation where you're like, oh, I want to write, I want to do things, I want to make art and all this stuff. Trust me, you can still do it. And you can learn how to balance a job with all your creative endeavors. It just takes time and a little bit of work. And of course, having goals of what you want to do and making plans for how you're going to do it. And if you can stick to your plans to achieve your goals, you can make it work. Believe you me. Maybe sloth food, huh? Fast food, more like slow food now. Yes, the sloths from Zootopia. Oh boy, I saw a lot of people upset online because there was no new trailer or news for Zootopia 2 after the most recent Disney earnings calling. Man, Disney, just keep dropping the ball, man. I feel like Zootopia 2 is not going to be as well received as it could have been because the excitement is not exactly there anymore. The movie was good when it came out, and I know a lot of people are like, "Wait a second, this movie didn't tackle racism the way that it should have been tackled." I'm like, wait. Racism is a really hard and heavy thing. This is a kids movie. The fact that this kids movie actually decided to explore racism at a time when so many other people decided to shy away from it or get really heavy-handed, but without ever really saying anything fresh or new. Zootopia actually managed to cover quite a bit of ground and do some cool stuff. And it told a message that kids could understand and relate to. And for the adults, it leaves it open for the adults then to actually tell the kids, yeah, this is the situation that Zootopia is referencing, the real world situation. If you want to know more about it, kid, let me tell you more. And that's a good story. One that leaves it open for the adults in the room to tell kids more without a story having to preach to them. I think that we've forgotten that, especially because we're now so used to stories and movies and shows preaching down to us rather than entertaining us and leaving things open for us to learn more on our own. This channel will only die by the time Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out. In other words, never. Exactly. No, there's a lot of fuel left in the tank for this channel. I fully intend to get us to 1,000 videos. Huzzah! How many channels can honestly say that? We're gonna get there. But also, something that I would like to ask you guys to do, if you feel comfortable. Like, is not something I want to throw on, like, do this. But if you'd like to support the work that we do here, please check out the books that we've published. Links for them are always in the description for our videos. But also, show our videos in our channel to other people. Encourage them to check it out and to subscribe. I remember as a teacher, there were plenty of times where kids in my classroom would ask me about my channel. I'd tell them a little bit about it and be like, okay, well, we're going to get back to the lesson now. And kids are not supposed to be on their cell phones, but kids would get onto their cell phones and subscribe to the channel and then tell their friends to subscribe. And I appreciated that. And that's something that I know is that when someone does subscribe to the channel and then promotes it to other people, that they do. So if you could support us here in the things that we do, spread the word of Camille's Harem to other people, encourage others to subscribe, and maybe something amazing will happen with this channel. Maybe we will hit 100,000 subs at the same time we hit 1,000 videos, and then we'll have a silver button party. Who knows? Or we're just going to continue on as we always have and just have a good time. However it goes, because this is an adventure of writing, and the adventure goes in all different kinds of places and directions. Good drink of water. All right, so I feel my throat going. I feel the cough coming on, and we've been here for nearly 3 hours. Thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight for this live stream. As always for your comments, for your courtesy, for your respect, for your insights, for your recommendations. I'm Omega. I will be getting to know evil. Believe you me, we're getting there. Thank you so much for reminding me again and again. Honestly, I do appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone's input for the Gaslight District. I'm going to try to get a theory video out for it, so that way I can plant my flag and say this is what I think is going to be happening. And then we're going to enjoy the show as it comes on out. This is going to be a great time. There's a lot of great stuff in the near future. But for right now, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. This was a fun night. I hope you've had a great time. And then you have a great morning, evening, day, wherever you are at. And until the next time, y'all. Oh, let's hear it. Hannah says, have a good night. I'm still going to get this script done as much as I can for reviews. Awesome. Great to hear that, Hannah. Well, until the next time, everyone, you take care and tschüss.